Claudia is a feminist artist known for making big pots, recording women's histories and feminist campaigns, especially against the sex trade and gender ideology. In 2022, she was expelled from an international art fair and from her trade association, and is now curating Women Create International's first exhibition.
Life After Cancellation and Curating Dissent. This is, so Life After Cancellation. So what's the first thing that an artist is going to do if you cancel her exhibition or expel her from an art fair or cancel her lecture or something? She's going to start turning it into art. So that's one of the things I did. So this one is called Find the Witch. And I showed, there's an image of it with me just to show scale. It's a large pot that is 82 centimeters high, or in American, that's a bit under 3 feet or something. The detail on the left shows the people that cancelled me, the expulsion team. And they were a team of about 7 different people. The pantomime horse is the Craft Potters Association, which is my trade association. I've included that man, Sarah Jane Baker, I can't remember what his actual name is now. Behind him is Professor Geoffrey Till, who was head of school, who was instrumental. Leading the pantomime horse is the architect of the whole thing, who was called Duncan Hewson, and he was the course leader of the ceramics department, and he was organiser of Ceramic Art London at University of the Arts London. So that's a bit of detail on what it's about. When you have a very big pot, it has a lot of different views. So if you think of it in painting terms, you're getting about 5 for the price of 1. So on the left, we have basically that Duncan Hewson was leading the ramshackle cavalcade that went out on the witch hunt. And this is the ramshackle cavalcade here. So we've got the, what do they call the clownfish? That's right. And we've got the furries, and we've got the men on rocking horses. And that's the prophet Judith Butler on her donkey riding into the holy city of Brighton or whatever. And then on the right-hand side, those are the high horses, because obviously when you are rousing a team to expel an artist from a major art fair, you need a lot of high horses. So those are the high horses, and you need lots of hounds. So there's a whole fleet of hounds there as well. And then I featured that sort of pink smoky stuff. That's some of Kathleen Stock's tormentors. And those rather colourful characters are some of Jenny Lindsay's tormentors. So I tended to include some of the tormentors from women who I'm friends with, just because I was quite intimately acquainted with what went on for them at the time. So that's sort of how the pictures get there. Now, that very big pot was made for my first ever, actually, solo international exhibition, which was in Poland, in Warsaw, at the Centre for Contemporary Art. And this is an image of the show as a whole. So one of my ironies about being cancelled is that, of course, feminists step up, and in the art world, people who are really committed to free speech, really committed, will step up and help you. So in that point from when that particular cancellation happened, and it was one in a long line, I've actually had this problem, goes right back to 2010 in my case. So it was, you know, the last of 7 or 8 of them. And then that was followed by this sort of domino effect of follow-on cancellations, which led up to October 2022, which I actually think was when I first spoke to WDI. And then it was 23, I was offered this show in Poland, because there was, for a brief moment, this particular major art gallery in Europe was, the director was really committed to free speech. And so I applied to do a show there and had the idea accepted. And so that big pot that I made was shown there. So it's on the right-hand side of the image, the third pot in from the right. That first pot, the blue and black and white one, that was one that a picture of it was shown in one of our major institutions in the UK, and the woman that organised the talk where the picture was shown actually was investigated by HR and threatened with the loss of her job just for showing a picture of that pot. So this exhibition is full of pots I can't show in the UK, but they have shown in Poland. You know, an additional irony, because it's not really known as a bastion of kind of feminist expression and free speech, particularly, but at that moment in that institution, it was. And there's just another shot from further back. So it's a huge room. And they showed 23 of my pots, 2 enormous drawings, which you can see suspended at the end, and 3 short films. So it was amazing. You know, I had never had a show like it in the UK, and I honestly do not think I will ever have a show like this in the UK. This really is a one-off. So fast forward to 2024, what I actually then started doing was curating. By chance, I thought the sun had come out briefly. Because I was invited to show work with a small gallery in London, and I thought, oh my God, I've been uncancelled. There's a woman with a small gallery who is brave and committed to free speech, and she knew what had happened. I told her everything. There were no secrets. So I made the next group of work, this is Every Gender, which was based on the medieval mystery play, European mystery play, which is called Every Man, which for anyone familiar with Christian theology and kind of writings, it's basically a pilgrim's progress, or you can even see it as just a hero's journey, really. So it's the quest in 4 parts, and it was the main perpetrator, the main witch hunter general, his vision from the gender genie that if I was included in the program, the whole show would be cancelled and everything would be terrible. There would be a plague of locusts and hellfire and brimstone. And on the right-hand side is just one slide from the show that I curated, because the gallerist asked me to put my work in the show and curate an exhibition around it, which I did. And it was called Vice and Virtue. And it was basically 5 artists' response to the rising religiosity and fanaticism of social justice movements. So again, I didn't really restrict it to gender. I wanted to see what people would do. But I mean, 4 of the 5 artists I knew to be sex-realist feminists. I didn't know if the other one was or not. I was just interested in what she would do. And it turned out, of course, she was sex-realist, but it was really interesting. And these are just 3 of the other pots from Every Gender. So the blue one, that is the plot, where the 7 people at the University of the Arts got together, and that's how many it took to expel one little me. And then the one next to it, the green one, that's the witch hunt. So in a kind of reduced version. And then the last one is the avenging vessel, which is the witch gets away and makes that enormous great big fuck off pot. And that's her kiln. And she's fine. It's a very, very basic, simple story in a way. But it was a way to record the process and make 4 nice jugs. And, it was good, very good therapy for me. And it, meant that I turned the whole story into a work of art, and I got all the different protagonists onto it. This is from Conchi Artist. This is the slide from Walking on Eggshells. And Conchi will also be showing this in Women Create. And that's the show I'm now curating, which is 30th and 31st of May. So at the end of this month, it's in 2 weeks' time. Conchi is one of our main artists, and she'll be showing in there. I'll just read you her statement. Authoritarianism, she says, is enacted from within. Authoritarianism enacted from within the Trojan horse of kindness. And the main soundtrack to this is a sort of demented clown hitting people over the head, going, "Be kind." It's quite menacing, actually. And they staged the performance actually at the gallery where we showed Vice and Virtue. So here's the gallery again. This is Verena and Mituccia, who run the gallery and who showed this. I still think, I mean, although it was a difficult relationship ultimately, you know, I think Verena was incredibly brave to show it, and huge respect to her for it, and to Mitosura. And also for hosting Conchi's brilliant performance, Walking on Eggshells, which, by the way, was done just at the time that the woman who, was it at Edinburgh Rape Crisis, talked about in her tribunal, she talked about the situation being eggshelly at work. She won her tribunal. She took Edinburgh Rape Crisis to tribunal and won in the end. But it was very timely to be using that expression. So that just gives you an idea of what the gallery was like, and some of the art that was in it. And so this is Women Create. As I said, 30, and it's the world's first ever conference, I would say event, because it's a conference. We have speakers, performers, and an exhibition, platforming cancelled female artists. And that's Women Create International. So there is actually a QR code, but you can just go to the website, womencreateinternational.com, and you can go to the ticket link from there. I'm sure someone will put it into the chat here for us. This is the magnificent Rachel Lara. I am so proud we can actually re-platform Rachel, who was horrendously cancelled back in 2016. Superb artist. Really, I mean, one of our most sort of celebrated artists in the UK, actually. She has an international reputation and is a multi-award winning artist. Conchi is also an award-winning artist, by the way. And we have many. You know, there are 3 or 4 award-winning artists and women with international profiles, as well as entry level. So we've got a very full range of artists that we're showing. So yeah, this this is a piece that Rachel did during the lockdown years, which is called the 24-hour mental breakdown service, experts in cancel culture. It's actually called Outrageous Algorithms, and it is a real van. It exists, and it's a marvelous photo opportunity. She drove it around London during 2020 to about 2022, and it was snapped all over the place and kept appearing in the papers. It was great. I think she might have taken it to Philia in 2021. I'm not sure. Anyway, we're showing her work. She's showing some new posters with us, so that's great. We have banners. We are showing many banners by the redoubtable women of Scotland, the Selkies stitching, and also some women from Leeds who started Virago Workshop, including Emma Dolan. So we're showing their work. And then on the right, we see this wonderful diorama, which is a bit like an architectural model, for those of you that don't know what a diorama is. I didn't. So I'm assuming there are probably others as well. And so that's an image of Let Women Speak, and I absolutely love it. We will have so many banners, you won't know what to do, honestly. And then these two, on the right, we have Pomidor, who are a Russian group, Maria and Polina. And so they are emigres, they are Russian dissident artists. They found themselves unable to be critical of the war and were threatened with arrest and imprisonment, as one of those banners they made shown. This is from a different exhibition, but they're making a completely new work, especially for us. Maria, one of the 2 women, is Jewish, and she now lives in Israel. And on October the 7th, she expressed sorrow for her people back in Israel. And as a result of that, only hours before their exhibition was due to open, it was pulled because of that one Instagram post. And on the left, we have Karen Garfen, British Jewish woman who produces, this is called Silence, this one on the left, sorry. And she's also an embroiderer and textile maker, but primarily embroidery, and does beautiful work. She's another, I mean, both these 2, the Pomidor and Karen Garfen, they are award-winning artists with major international reputations. And Karen was expelled from the 62 group, with whom she'd been showing for 17 years, again, for doing this memorial work for October the 7th, and it was deemed unshowable. So we are very, very, very proud to be platforming them and delighted. And I was expecting an exhibition of mainly artists dealing with gender, but no, it's fairly evenly spread. We've got women who have, and I'm sorry I didn't show any of their images actually, that was an oversight on my part, but one of the most strongly represented is women from Muslim majority countries and ex-Muslims, and also one woman who is a survivor of Opus Dei, which is a Roman Catholic cult. And they are all showing work that critiques religious fundamentalism. And so they are a major represented group within our exhibition. And also women who are survivors of the sex trade. I'll actually be showing my work that is about that, rather than the work that I showed at Vice and Virtue, because I also have equal amounts of difficulty showing work critiquing the sex trade in the art world, because only one political position is deemed acceptable, and it's not the abolitionist one. So I'll be showing that work. So it's quite a complete range, and more or less evenly spread actually.